Hi everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Second Act Actors, the series that celebrates people who made a major life and career change into acting. I'm Janet McMorty, and I was, and still very much am, a medical doctor who also decided to pursue acting. Why not? Today, my guest is Hassan Joseph. Hassan is a software manager turned actor, and we talk about everything from fighting logic to surrendering control to wearing a loincloth. I hope you enjoy. Curious to hear about your first career and then how that shift happened when you started wanting to do some acting.
Sure. So I guess I'll start from the very beginning. My parents fell in love at such a young age. And then I was a result of that. I'm originally from Saint Lucia. Mm-hmm. It's a Caribbean island, for those who are not aware. It's very beautiful. You should visit sometime. When you grow up on a small island in a developing country, you have very limited options. So it's pretty much you work in the industries that are available to you, and that's generally going to be the tourism industry, banking, or doctor or lawyer, the standard professions that you will find in other parts of the world. And so, growing up, my goal was never to do anything in entertainment. It was more like get a good job, in one of those industries that I mentioned, make money, get a house, wife, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, I came to Canada for school. This was a complete surprise, a very unplanned. And I did my education in commerce out in New Brunswick. And so still not a lot of exposure, I would say, to entertainment out there. And then I moved to Toronto. And after graduation, I started working in financial services at a bank. And then while I was at the bank, I didn't feel great. Like I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel happy. So while I was at the bank, I actually networked with people that I met there. And so through that networking, I ended up getting into a company that is, where I am now for the last 4.5 years, software implementation. And so I've been doing that for the last 4.5 years. And it was actually December 2020 when, the first wave of COVID and all the lockdowns that happened, that, I really sat down and just took stock of just everything, right? And, I asked myself, do you really want to be known as the guy that sat behind his desk all day doing this stuff you don't even find it really exciting anymore? It was getting a little tedious, and it wasn't bringing me joy. I always felt that there was something else out there that I could be doing. I tried, more software development. That didn't work out. So I said to myself, you know what, let me try something that's a complete 180 from what I've been doing these past few years. And so I decided to try acting. I think the main reason I wanted to try it was because I love watching shows. I love trying to figure out the story before it happens. I love watching what the actors do and how they're impacting the audience. I'm probably the most boring person to watch movies with because I'm not excited about the action. I'm more excited about how that person pulled that off. Like, this is so, how did you convince me that this was real? Right. So that's what I'm more interested in. And so I took my first acting class in February of last year, and I never looked back. I really enjoyed it. And I think the thing I enjoyed about it the most was the fact that it's dynamic. It's not like my job where I'm very focused on a particular task, or the parameters of my work is very limited. I can only do what I'm doing, right? I can't just, tomorrow I can do marketing, or next week I can do accounting. I'm only focused on that. But when you're doing, I find during the acting classes, you can be anything. You could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, you could be a police officer, you could be anything you want. And I think that's what really got me and kept me going and trying to move forward in this industry.
What do you think it was about the performative aspect of acting that you like? I mean, because, just being in the entertainment industry, how it all works, the behind the scenes stuff, there's producing, there's directing, there's all this stuff. Was there something that really pushed you towards the performance part? Or was that it, do you think, for acting?
Yes, actually, It was the performance part because there are a few actors that I had really loved watching. I loved watching Denzel Washington. I loved watching Leonardo DiCaprio. I loved watching guys like The Rock, and watching and just looking at them, where you'd see, for example, some of his early stuff. The Rock, for example, he came from wrestling, and wrestling is scripted, as I learned much later in life. And they did that. It was so well done that I believed it, like most kids would have.
Yeah.
And then you watch him in these movies where he played, I think it was The Game Plan, where he plays this, it's a comedy where he plays this kid's dad, and he's very lighthearted, and I'm like, this is not the same guy who was talking about whooping ass in the ring. Like, what happened there? What was this switch? And you watch movies with Denzel where he's in Training Day, he's the bad guy, and he's just like very different from where he is in other movies where he might be playing the good guy, or even a more tempered character. So I think that one of the things that interested me the most was, that switch. How do they do that? And how do you do that without, basically, it's how you and I are talking. There could be a camera behind me or behind you, and we could be actually in a show or a movie having this conversation. And they do this. And that was fascinating to me, because how do you go on basically acting like this is your life when it's actually not? And so that's what really got me, that performance aspect of it. It's like, what?
Yeah. And do you think what you were saying about your job before you started acting, you kind of do the same thing every day? There's no variety or variation, like a little bit, but nothing like the dynamic aspect of acting. Was that terrifying at the beginning? Like, no, oh my gosh, now it's like there's just so much to do, so much variability that can happen, and freedom? Or was that cool? Was that exciting?
That was the cool part. The terrifying part was actually doing it for other people to see. So to me, I love the fact that there was variability. The terrifying part was obviously, doing a part for the first time ever, because I had never done anything like that, right? And you're in a class where there are people who have had experience, who have done on-camera things, who have been taking classes for years. And you, in the back of your mind, you feel like they're judging you. And I feel like, and to be honest with you, I thought for a second, I said, man, I wonder if those actors that we look up to today, if they felt like that the first time they went on camera, where they feel like the world is going to be watching this. How do you maintain that composure and freak out at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And so
that's a special skill.
It is, and I think you and I met through Michelle's class at LB, and she always says, acting is that private moment, but in a public space, right? Where so many people are watching you have this very intimate, connected moment, which is so surreal and so not real life. Like, where else does that happen? My God. Do you think the job that you had prior to moving into acting, I know you still do it, you're simultaneously pursuing it. How have you found that's benefited you in your acting career so far, and in the classes you've taken and the performances you've done?
Great question. So it's not just my job. Every aspect of my life, I have reassessed and looked at it and said, wow, this is actually something I can use as part of my acting. Like I said, I grew up on an island. That's an experience not a lot of people have, right? We grew up with not very much. That's an experience a lot of people don't have. I came to cool here as an international student. That's not a lot and I never really thought about those things as life experiences that I could apply to acting. I just thought about it as like stuff that happened and I got over it. But those are things that are experiences that a lot of people don't get to have. And so even in my work where I started off from the bottom and moved my way up into leadership in the 4.5 years. That's an experience in itself because I never imagined that I could do that, right? And on working in tech, working in tech as a Black person, working in tech as an immigrant, working in tech as somebody who I don't have connections or anything like that. Like this is hustle that got me to this point.
Yeah.
This is all stuff I can use to build a character. And I never realized that until I read actually one of the classes, I think it was the audition class where you and I were in and Lewis gave when Lewis was giving the advice and he was like, don't focus on what you're saying, but why the character is saying it. And I think at first I focused too much on the words and not necessarily the feeling that why the character would say stuff like that. And then I thought back and I said, well, it's because of the experiences of this character. And how can I bring those experiences that I have had to this character and tell this story a little better?
Yeah. And it's interesting when I've been chatting with people who've done similar things to yourself, starting acting later on in their life after having a journey through life, basically. And they've either been told one of two things, and it's either, oh, you're too late. Sorry, you didn't get to go to theater school. There's tons of other people who actually got to go to theater school, and now you're behind, so you need to catch up. Or they've been told, thank goodness, by a great teacher or whoever, like Michelle or Lewis or whoever, oh my gosh, this is really exciting that you're acting because you have so much of a life to pull from. And it just can bring so much confidence and, like you were saying, vibrancy to a character that nobody else can do. So, yeah, that's really exciting. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, that 20-year-old acting is grabbing stuff out of the air. They're imagining that this would happen to them. But a 40-year-old acting has had years of experience of things that they could, find similarities between themselves and the character they're playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything you found really surprising about the entertainment industry since you started? That was a bit of a shock.
There are a lot more people in it than I thought.
Isn't that great?
I always thought that for whatever reason, I don't know if it was my ignorance, I always thought there were like a limited number of actors, but there are so many actors to the point where it can be disheartening. And I did struggle with that a bit. When I was taking classes and just seeing all of the breadth of experience people have had, and I had a little bit of that self-doubt that maybe I wouldn't be successful in this, maybe I won't make it because there are so many younger people, like you said, people who have more experience. And then I said to myself, you know what? I looked again. I took stock of where I came from. I said, man, I've done things that people can't even imagine doing. I've experienced things that people could not imagine experiencing. And so, I will go, all out and get what I need to get. I know what it's like to hustle and do all these things. So I'll just use that instead of doubting myself before I even get to that point. So, it can be, I think that was the biggest surprise for me, was that the sheer amount of actors that are out there, and not obviously not everyone's going to be, the next big thing, not everybody can be that, but the parts that you can play still make a difference. And I think there's a misconception that if you go into acting, you must become the next Leo DiCaprio or whatever. You don't have to be. You could literally just, support on a show, and your character's story could still touch somebody without having to be the big name on the screen, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that redefinition of what success is within the world of the entertainment industry, for sure. And that mindset has to have come, exactly what you said, from your life experiences. Like, I'm sure, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like, I'm sure if you were a 20-something, that wouldn't be the case, right? And I see that a lot with people who are second act actors, where it's a more of a realistic mindset because you've lived some before. And I'm not knocking on people who are 20-something and going to theater school. I mean, I'm a little bit jealous of them, but but yeah, I think we're a bit more realistic when it comes to that. And I think, you know, finding the joy in other parts of the acting world as opposed to like booking the large, massive role and making the big bucks needs to happen. Otherwise, you just get deflated. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even, you know, take yourself, for example. You had to go to med school. You had to pay money. You had to do your residency. Or you had to do a lot of years of work before getting to be a doctor.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the same with acting. You're not going to just step out of theater school and become immediately a professional actor everybody wants. That's not going to happen. It's going to take years. Sometimes some people don't see that, you know, success for 10, 20 years. But I think it's more just, I think it's resilience that's really the important factor here. Just knowing that, hey, it's not going to come right away. It'll take 10 years. It'll take 5 years. You know, I came to Toronto in 2013 and I didn't become a leader until 2020. So, I mean, you know, it took me 7 years to even get to that point. But, you know, I still stuck it out and worked hard and did what I had to do. And I think, you know, the same can be said for acting. I'm starting out now. You know, I may not get a lot of roles or even a lot of big opportunities right now. But if I keep going, if I keep studying, if I keep practicing, that day could come. Or it couldn't. But as long as I'm prepared, you know.
I remember when you and I were chatting about, I don't know if you remember this, but like when we were chatting one of our like side chats on Zoom during our class.
Okay.
It was about like, I think it was about script analysis. And I remember thinking like something very similar. I think you had said something to Michelle very similar, and it was something along the lines of like, kind of like, just tell me how to do it. You know, I find, and let me know if you're the same way.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Almost like a process.
It check boxes. Yeah. Like just, you know, like tell me how to do this. Tell me how to, very scientific, analytic minded. And she was just like, blah, right? Like, she can't think like that. And I was like, yes, Hassan, I feel the same way. I can analyze a script till the cows come home. And I'm like, look at me. I analyzed it so good. But now I don't know how to act it. I'm like, oh, and I don't get the part because I know how to write notes. Dang it. Was that a tough transition for you?
Oh my God, man.
Yeah.
Was it ever a tough
right?
I still struggle with it to this day. I've done auditions and I didn't get responses back. And I think back to the auditions, I'm like, did I do this character properly? Because you and I think that's just the nature of our jobs and our minds that I've developed over the years is, you know, there must be a way to do something. There is absolutely no way that this is completely random. There is a sequence of steps that need to be taken in order to get this done.
I need logic.
I want the logic behind this. So, you know, for example, is there a key word in the script that I should be looking for that tells me, this is what I'm supposed to be doing? But that's, I think, to be honest with you, that's the joy of it. That's the most exciting part, is because it's like you throw everything you know out of the window and you start from scratch. And actually, and I think I told you this, I took improv classes at Second City.
Yeah.
And that improv class demonstrated to me that you're better off just doing what feels right than trying to do what you think is going to work for others. So one of the things they always say is make a choice and stick to it.
Yeah.
And so I think what, you know, and again, that's just from the nature of my work, is I'm always looking for different scenarios, worst case scenario, best case scenario, all the risks. I analyze everything before I make a decision. Even before I send an email, I have to read it 5 times and maybe this word might be mistaken. You know, they might not take it how I said it. But with the script, it could just be whatever choice. If you think that the character should be this very angry person, that's the choice you made. And then, if it works, the casting director will, taking you, indicated that that worked. If it didn't work, then you might think, okay, well, the next character I do, I might do a little different. I might do, a little softer character or something like that. And that might be what works. But I think that's both the most annoying and the most exciting part, is that acting is just random. There is no series of steps. It's just so random.
Yes. It's like you're saying, just like we were saying at the beginning, it's terrifying and the most exciting thing, because you can't control it. And I think we both have careers where we need to control stuff, because if you don't, like you're saying, risks occur, and we want to mitigate risks as much as possible. So you follow the algorithm, you follow the steps, and to just not do that and it actually be beneficial to throw that all away. Oh, that's terrifying. Yeah. And I'm the same. It took improv classes, and I need to take more of them, to be like, calm down, just let it go and do it. Just do it. Yeah. It's hard when you want to find that word in the script, and then you're like, I found it. Do I get my prize? I found it. Check the box. What do I get now? And everyone's like, nothing. You get nothing. Oh, okay.
Yeah. You got nothing. Actually, someone else did it better than you, and we took them instead.
Yeah, exactly. But again, that's where I think, like you were saying, the world is so random, but you have to find the joy and not the frustration in the randomness of it, for sure. Otherwise, we'll just, might as well go work somewhere else. Might as well go do something else.
I mean, you will lose your mind, I think. And I think that I would like to think that's what makes the most successful actors. Actors who are so confident in the choice that they've made, to the point where, they're almost pushing that confidence onto you as the audience. So, and I was even talking about this to a friend this week. How do these actors, the really good ones, how do they push that feeling onto you? And I think that's what we've been trying to learn in acting class.
Yeah.
When we did the thought, feeling, behavior, action. How does an actor take their feeling of sadness in the moment, in that scene, and push it onto you? It's so powerful that you're feeling it. It's not real. In the back of your mind, it's not real. It's this person's acting, but it's so powerful, and they're so confident in this feeling that they're making you feel it. Now you're crying. Why am I crying?
Yes. Yeah. And experiencing, what they're experiencing. And I don't know if that's a teachable thing, or if just, I don't know.
I think it's confidence. I honestly think it's just the point where you just don't care.
Yeah. It's like breaking down. Yeah. Breaking away from the restrictions that we put on ourselves.
Yeah. Because we think, you and I will think, oh man, there's too much risk. But for them, it's just like, I don't care. This is how I feel. I don't care what anyone says. And then that feeling, it's like it's coming at you through the screen. Like, I just don't care whatsoever. And then you're like, I feel this person's pain. Why am I feeling this person's pain?
Do you feel the more that and I know you're still simultaneously doing your job, but the more that you kind of are doing things like acting, does that infiltrate into I think you already mentioned that infiltrates into your life too, right? Not like just kind of a bit more relaxed, casual attitude. Have you noticed that?
What I have noticed, though, is the more I do the acting classes, the less I want to do my actual job.
Fair.
So, I would say the acting classes do not impact my work. I think my work impacts the acting.
Yeah.
Because what it's also allowed me to do was observe how my conversations impact others. Right. When you talk to a patient, for example, the way you say the message can make the feelings of the patient differ. If you say it in a way that you say it with concern, they might feel concern, and they might feel like, oh my God, am I going to die? But it's just the way you're saying it. So now I'm more aware of my conversations with people now, especially being, having direct reports, how I speak to them and the words I use and the language I use, and looking at how does that impact this person. And then if I see, okay, whenever I speak this certain way, my direct reports tend to, they tend to pull back, or they tend to be less energized, or maybe, they feel sad. That's something that makes me feel, okay, maybe for that, maybe I should change the way I'm speaking, because they might misconstrue what I'm saying. But that lights a bulb in my head that, wow, okay, I guess this is a way I could use a character. If I'm trying to make, someone feel a certain way, maybe that, that feeling I had, or that the way that I said this and the way that I did this can apply to a character I might want to work on later. Because, I did it this way and it impacted 5 people. And, although I mean, it's not a great way to get practice, but we use what we have around us to help us, right?
Yeah, I think you could, like, you're basically living in a lab where you're working on a hypothesis. So let me try it this way and let me try it that way and see what happens. Yeah, absolutely. I think no shame in doing that.
Don't tell them. Don't tell them.
No.
Can you blur my face?
Yeah.
The more I thought about acting and the more I took classes, the more I realized that there is a very genuine opportunity here, because, if I were to even have a semblance of success in acting, I could actually demonstrate to people who are from where I'm from and say, hey, there's not just these jobs. You could actually be an actor. You could do whatever you want. You don't have to wake up in the morning and go work at the hotel because your mom said, go work at the hotel and make some money. You could actually be something else. And I think that's, demonstrating to others, that there is more than just that. Because nobody told me that. I saw them on TV and I thought this was just like a special group of people. Like there were only 10 actors out there.
Yeah.
But just, joining and taking classes and seeing how big the acting world is.
Yeah.
And the opportunities that are available. I think that's what really encouraged me to keep doing it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I'm getting chills. I think that's just wonderful, right? Like, I think, and I always go back to Michelle in her acting class. She always asks people why acting at the beginning, right? And it's and the answers are always so varied and stuff. But I think, that's such a great reason. Not like there's a bad reason. I guess it's like just
there is a bad reason if you want money.
If you want money, But I think that's just such a lovely thing, and also that paying it forward aspect as well too. Kind of honoring where you came from and where you're going. So, tell me what you're most excited about right now. It's a new year. Is there anything that's exciting coming up for you?
I'm excited to talk to agents. Finally.
Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting. Yes. Congratulations.
So, I'm looking forward to that. I will compare it to maybe doing an interview, because at the end of the day, it's really you're interviewing with them to see if they'll take you on and if you are a good match for them.
Yeah.
So at first I was pretty, I would say, nervous about it, because I was like, oh, I'm new to acting and oh my God, the agents will think I'm this lunatic who wants to be part of their agency. And then I said to myself, well, you know what? I've done job interviews scarier than this, so I'm pretty sure I'll be fine. And so that's one of the things I'm excited about. I have a mentor through LB. So we've been in communication since she started with me, which would have been probably July or August. And so she's still working. She's still a working actress. And she and I are going to have a meeting next week, and we're going to talk about goals that I would like to accomplish for the year and how she can help me with those goals. And I think what I'm most excited about is just, seeing what new opportunities are out there. Whether I get an agent or not this year, that's negligible. I'll still put myself out there for auditions, but I'm just excited to keep going and keep learning, keep meeting new people. I meet new actors all the time for whatever reason. It's so random. Like I met, I don't know if I told you guys, on my way back from Saint Lucia. Actually, no, I didn't tell you. On my way back from Saint Lucia, I sat next to Amy Jo Johnson on the plane. In
No
October.
way. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I sat next to her and I was like, I didn't know who she was until she told me her name, and she told me she was in Flashpoint, but she never told me she was the Power Ranger, the Pink Ranger. So we had this
Probably
full,
loved it. She's like, yay.
I
Nobody's
know, we had this
recognizing
full
me.
conversation. We went to the carousel to pick up our baggage.
Yeah.
We're talking, and then it's when I go home and I look her up, I'm like, oh my God,
It's the
she
Pink
is an
Ranger.
icon.
Yeah.
Being new to it is still exciting to me.
Yeah.
And the potential
Yeah.
is exciting to me, and so looking forward to that.
That's great. I think more than anywhere else, I found this job, career, acting, whatever it is. It's about who you know. And I don't mean that in like a negative nepotism way, because that does exist in this world, but it's more about who you know and who you continue to connect with by solely just being a nice, interesting person, as opposed to just, brushing people off or being rude. And that's what's been the biggest surprise to me in this industry was I was expecting competitiveness. I was expecting, people being rude, and of course there's going to be those people who are like, it's all gone to their heads. But for the most part, what I found is incredibly kind, generous people who just want to be helpful to other kind, generous people. And then it just builds from there, right? You meet at your rec soccer league. I was chatting with a director earlier today who met people when she was a background actor, and then it just spiraled into directing and producing and stuff. So more than I found in medicine, which has a lot to do with networking, this has a lot to do with networking. And we're good at that.
Yeah.
And I think we're good at that, and we're not scared of doing that because we've been doing it for so long in our other jobs.
Yeah, I've had some sketchy. I could tell you stories about networking. It when I first started doing it long ago, I was definitely scared, but now I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah. I remember, in medical school, a big part of medical school are elective time, where you have to go and spend time with doctors. And they don't, at the school, give you the doctor. You have to go and seek out the doctor. And that initially is terrifying, because here you are, this little, mouse being like, hello, gigantic in my world, sports medicine doctor that I've idolized and wrote every textbook. May you please help me? Will you be my mentor? And that initial contact is so terrifying. But just like anything, the more you do it, the better you get at it and the more comfortable you are. And I think that for sure has helped me in my acting career, just being like, well, the worst they can say to me is no if I email them. So let's do it.
Honestly, that's I tell people, when I speak to younger people through mentoring or networking sessions, I tell them, honestly, the worst thing someone can tell you is no.
Yeah.
If you email them and you say hi or you do whatever, and they tell you no, just move on. That's it. There's a billion other people out there.
Yes, exactly. And in our case, as we've noticed, there are.
There are
a billion.
There are a billion actors out there.
There are a ton. Do you have any favorite moments so far in your career from either class or auditions or anything like that stuck out to you as fun or funny or anything like that?
Yeah, so I did my first on-camera thing, I guess, last year in October. It started at 7 and ended at 7. That's the longest day I've ever worked in my entire life. The worst part about it was I was in a loincloth the whole time because I was doing this documentary on slavery in Canada.
Wow.
And so I was one of those people who were like one of the warriors. So, and it was cold, like this is October, and I'm in this loincloth all day. It was hella uncomfortable, but I met so many other actors, and I got to watch the scenes, how they were recording the scenes. I, just seeing those things for the first time, working behind a green screen, seeing the camera on the track and it moving forward and backward, and watching yourself on the little monitor, trying my best not to watch the camera. That was for me was so cool to see that, and I just getting a taste. I think that made me more excited because I just got to see how the whole thing worked, and I got to watch scenes while I was waiting for my time. I got to network and meet with the directors, I guess. Hang out with the makeup people, with the hair people, and everyone was just so cool. And like you said, you're an actor who comes to the set. Whatever the person's job is, you have to respect the person, man. And I was, I went around and I thanked everyone at the end of the day. I was only there for a day, but I went to costume, thanked them for the time, went to makeup, thanked them for their time. Whoever I could find, just thank them, because although, we were only sitting maybe there for a minute or two, but, at the end of the day, they've been doing this for hours and hours, for days. And so, just showing them a little gratitude, I think, goes a long way. And so for me, I think that one day, although it was long, it was very exciting. And I would love to have more days, not as long, obviously, but where, I can get to be on camera and get to do stuff. So that for me was the best moment, I think, so far.
Oh, that's great. Do you know what the documentary's called? Are you allowed to say?
It's called BLK, An Origin Story. I think it's supposed to come out in February.
Nice.
I would love to have days on end where I don't have to sit at my desk all day and I could actually work on practicing scenes. I would love that, but I don't have that. I don't have that luxury right now. And I'm saying to myself, man, if acting was just the thing I was always doing and I had all this downtime, I would be reading up scenes. I'll be looking up stuff, trying to practice, getting other actors. Let's practice together. Let's critique each other, because you have all that downtime. You have time to work on your craft, and then when the next audition comes, whether it's in a couple of weeks or a month, you're a little better than you were when you did your last audition.
Yeah. Yes. Preach. Put that on a T-shirt. Quote.
It's a very long. It's very small words.
I would put it on a T-shirt. People need to hear it. Thank you for tuning into our conversation, and thank you, Hassan, for being my guest this week. I love our conversation about fighting our logical brains. Honestly, it is the most terrifying and rewarding thing when we can set aside our logical brains and just let flow happen as actors. I love it. Next week, I talk to a casino manager turned actor, writer, producer, and director about everything from chance meetings to transitions to her hit show Pink is In. I hope you'll join us.